Yes, hello everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. And a very warm welcome to this webinar that I will be hosting and moderating on behalf of my friends over at Brainbox Consulting. My name is James Meads. I'm the founder of procurementsoftware.site, and I will be moderating this afternoon for you this webinar with Cyril Colin from Adidas, who is our guest. Cyril, very warm welcome.
Thank you, James. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Very welcome as well from my side, and happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's just give everyone a couple of minutes that might be joining a little bit late before we jump into the presentation. So whereabouts are you joining us from, Cyril?
Yes, so let me give me a short intro from my side. So as you mentioned, my name is Cyril Colin. I'm French. Had the pleasure to have all my studies and everything, all my career parcours from a studying perspective in France. Started to work in Germany as of 1997. And since now, more than 20 years, 25 years almost in Germany. Joined the Adidas group in 2007, so 16 years ago, through different, let's say, station. Has joined the Source to Pay or GBS Source to Pay team in 2018, being one of the first joining the team, and now leading the Source to Pay procurement team from SLM, demand to PO and PO to pay part. So responsible from a GPO perspective, from business, let's say, process design, process implementation globally, and have the pleasure to live in a very nice city of Nuremberg.
Yeah, I've been to Nuremberg a few times. I lived in Germany myself, actually, for 12 years. And Nuremberg has some of the best beer in Germany. I know that. So it's a good part of lifestyle there, I guess.
Exactly. If I may, I mean, around the corner, we have roughly, I think, 1,600 breweries. So we're not going to talk about it today, but maybe something to do for the next time.
Maybe that's a follow-up webinar we should do. Exactly. Probably get more attendees talking about breweries in Germany. Yes. Who knows? But we're not here to talk about breweries in Germany. We're here to talk about source-to-pay excellence and really just getting the most from your existing tools, and really to talk about your journey, Cyril, of how you've managed to achieve source-to-pay excellence within, such a big organization as Adidas, with operations all around the world, and no doubt, several or even hundreds of different ERP systems. So, how do we leverage the advantages of using a boutique external consultancy like Brainbox to be able to get the most out of and to customize a source-to-pay system? In your case, obviously, we're talking about SAP Ariba. So if I bring up the slides that we're going to go through, and we can now sort of make a start. You've got a couple of introduction slides, Cyril, just first of all. So walk us through, just to set the scene, just a few key pieces of data around Adidas, just to really set the context of how big is the beast that we're talking about here when we're looking at excellence in business services and source to pay.
Exactly. Thank you. And yes, so giving you some intro, and I think I'm pretty sure everybody knows Adidas as a brand, but there's much more behind that. And of course, it's a big company. And our, let's say, motto is through sports we have the power to change lives, and that's, I must say, that's really true. But before we get to that topic a bit later, just giving you some heads up on the company. So the company was created more than 70 years ago in 1949, from Adolf Dassler. It's a global organization. We are working in more than 80 different countries. Of course, globally, it's for sure a marketing company. So we are not producing our product on our own. We are working with a lot of suppliers producing but we develop the product on our own. We had in 2022 around 22 billion euro turnover. with roughly 60,000 employees around the world. And as you can see, we have two main brands. Let's put it like that. The Adidas brand, as we see on my T-shirt now, it's the logo that we have. But we have two main focus on there. It's the first one is the so-called Adidas Performance for the athletes, for all the competitions. The second one is the trefoil, the original one, let's say, starting in the 60s, 50s, 60s, the originals and the lifestyle. And as well, a brand new comer, would put it like that, the Terex, which is, of course, the outdoor climbing, hiking for as well for starters as for more experience. And of course, we have our main athletes. Yeah? As you can see, many might recognize them. But the first one is Messi, Lionel Messi, of course, soccer. The second one, as a French guy, I could say it's Paul Pogba. So very happy. Unfortunately, he's been injured over the last month and years. And the last one, it was the first two from soccer or football. And the last one is James Harden from a basketball perspective. So the company, of course, is as I said, having a lot of cooperation, a lot of designers, a lot of great support with Stella McCartney, Stan Smith, Pharrell Williams, you name it, to really make that, let's say, happen from a marketing and perspective. As I said, the focus, of course, of the brand is on soccer, running, but also lifestyle. Yeah, and as you can see as well on the right side, you see Adolf Dassler, who was the founder of the company. But below, it's our headquarters in Herzogenaurach. Yeah, something that we will talk about a bit later around the presentation, and at the end, if you have any questions, to show you there. So just to give you for example, the headquarters was in 2000 and I think 18 or 19 was selected as the nicest headquarters of the world. I must say, it's right. Yeah, it's a very nice. It's a very, very impressive building. Very, let's say, sustainable from a sustainability perspective, electricity, water consumption, everything has been made in a very smart way. So it's not only showing off, to put it like that, but as well a lot of environmental topic in the background to make that as clean as possible.
Excellent. That's a great intro for Adidas for anyone that didn't know. And indeed, the old logo. I had some trainers from Adidas in probably about 1988 when I was 10 years old that had that logo. It takes me back. So just before then we dig into the main content, just to do the same for Brainbox really quickly, just to give some overview of who Brainbox is, who we are as a consultancy. So Brainbox is much younger than Adidas. Brainbox started out in 2018, located in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Started out with one employee and established a partnership with SAP. And then by 2019, we were already a team of 15 consultants and had completed more than 5 Ariba projects. And by that point, we had also established ourselves as being the strategic partner for SAP Consulting in the Netherlands. Moving into 2020, obviously a difficult year for everyone with COVID hitting, but Brainbox crossed the 25 employee mark then and achieved $2.5 million in revenue, and also became a strategic partner for SAP in the Nordic region. And then really from 2021, that signified launching the Center of Excellence, looking at delivery excellence, and we reached 20 mark in terms of completed source to pay projects with SAP Ariba. And then finally last year, Brainbox expanded their presence into both India and the US and became an SAP Gold partner. There is also an innovation garage that is active as well, looking at developing and partnering with innovative tech solutions. And there is also, since this year, a partnership with SAP in India, looking at cloud extensions, and also building strategic partnerships with SAP Consulting in the Middle East. So started with Dutch roots and then has very much expanded over the past couple of years into India and the US, and also recently into the Middle East as well. So we're not here to talk about Brainbox. We are here to talk about Adidas's source to pay journey and how Brainbox has been a part of that. So without any further ado, I will move on to the next one. So Cyril, back to you. If I can hand the baton back to walk us through really your source to pay journey and the different parts of that Brainbox have been a part of.
Exactly. And thanks, James. And as you mentioned before, I mean, as you said, the company is not that old, and we are very happy to be, let's say, one of the first partner working with Brainbox from the beginning. As you say, on the left side, we will have, let's say, we could say the process step of from the category blueprint, down to the invoice automation. So let's say maybe the step between the demand to PO, supplier enablement, SLP, and the field glass. So those are, let's say, the journey we went through, and we will see more details in the next slide. But at the end, we had a very good partner as Brainbox to, let's say, to start the strategy and the execution for the indirect categories, to set the scene how to implement at that time Ariba, which was back in 17, 18. Let's say the starting point to replace our old system SRM and make that happen. So of course, during those time we had you need to define everything. So we started with a good consulting and getting there in order to have the demand to PO, rolled out as well in different regions. We started with APAC and China as a first market, with EMEA, and during the journey we saw as well how can we make it easier for our suppliers to help on the Ariba business network adoption.
Yeah, that's an important one, isn't it? Sorry, just to cut in there, but it's often not perceived as being a particularly user-friendly tool for the supplier side. So it's important that you say that. And I guess as well, you had a lot. How many ERP systems did you have?
Well, we are lucky to have over the last 20 years, let's say, quite a few in the different regions. But up to 2016, 2017, we finalized the one ERP strategy. So we were lucky in that position from an Adidas perspective to have one ERP whole system. I must say maybe not completely correct, because we had three. We had one for sales, but for the main NTP part and the main purchasing, a part of the trade system, which was a different, but an SAP as well. So we had, for my purpose in that sense, from an NTP perspective, we had only one ERP globally, which of course helps a lot, because then you don't have to migrate and to transform too much things.
Great. So sorry, I jumped in, but yeah, I was going to ask you, what did you actually do then on the front end to make it easier then for suppliers to interact and to get into the Ariba business network?
Well, it's let's say it's a given and taken, because at the end your old system is not working anymore. Everybody's complaining. You need to do something new. A new technology is coming, but of course, as soon as you change, the changes might not be appreciated from everyone. So of course, a lot of discussion with our suppliers. The technology is of course better, but it's not, let's say, it's never the perfect solution. And having, let's say, especially in the case of Brainbox, to help us to understand based on their experience they had with former customers, former implementation, to really help on how to make the right strategy, how we communicate with the suppliers, how we communicate internally, how we make that journey a bit easier, especially on the change management and the feasibility of the tools. Because you could expect everything, but you will never be able to roll out everything. You need to make some choices to say, okay, that would be great, but if we want to go that path, we will need years to make it happen. So we need to restrict, let's say, our deliverables to say, okay, what is the really needed points, and that's the way we went through, with a lot of exchange and a lot of experience and feedback from different big suppliers or internal resources on that side.
Okay.
Yeah. So continuing the journey after we started the Ariba rollout, and we will see the next slide. But of course, the whole Ariba suite makes it brings you as well to SLP, to Fieldglass, and to commerce automation. So we went that path. Unfortunately, SLP, due to different reasons, we had to stop 2 times due to budget restriction on our side. And last year, at the end of the year, we stopped the rollout for SLP due to complexity, due to changes in our processes, and some other requirements that made SLP from our side not let's say the right system anymore to follow. But we move forward, of course, with Fieldglass that we have implemented at the moment in 3 different regions. And one of the big things we did, and that's where we had still a lot of work to do with our suppliers, and on the invoice automation. Looking at using Ariba and using the so-called PO flip and commerce automation, which is a great idea, but still a lot of work from a supplier perspective, because if they are not fully integrated, they have a lot of workload from a manual perspective to recreate the invoice in the system. So the adoption there, we were expecting to have way higher adoption rate. It's a lot of discussion and continuous, let's say, improvement with the supplier to talk to them, to bring them to see the value add of using the electronic invoicing, because it makes the whole process a bit faster for everyone. The data quality is easier because in most of the countries using Ariba Network and commerce automation, you don't need a PDF, so you're not dependent on an OCR quality, and that's where we the last let's say till 2022 with the help of Brainbox, we were pushing strongly our suppliers, and now we have almost 2,000 suppliers using it. We receive roughly up to 100,000 invoices through Ariba Network, the plan for 2023. So getting there, but it's a journey. I don't expect to have it from the day one, that when you turn it on, everybody is super happy and just want to participate. It's a journey. You need a lot of change management and persuasion to make that happen.
And did you have a named person in each region or in each country that was reporting to you from a matrix perspective, that was responsible for making that happen? Because I guess when it comes to suppliers, a lot of them are going to be country specific rather than global strategic vendors, right?
Yes. So we have both, and the good thing is, I mean, from my team perspective, we are set up globally. So we have the global responsibility, but of course we were and we are still using the procurement team, having the contract negotiation with them, with the local procurement, to really emphasize and as well working closely with the markets and the local AP team to make them aware when they send invoices via paper, to say, guys, it's not the way to do it. We have a clear communication. Please send it to that path. Use this platform and make that happen. You always have some good, let's say, some good results. It goes back and goes up, goes back, goes up. So, but the trend is our friend. I would say at the moment, it goes in the right direction. Not as fast as we would expect, but it's getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've just got a question that popped up, Cyril. If you don't mind me popping this onto the screen, maybe we can tackle this before we move to the next slide. It's from Harish, and he's asking, how do you see the future of Adidas procurement with the market being very competitive now? I'm not sure if he means the candidate market or whether he means just the the market in general. But yeah, I'm not sure if you've got any thoughts you want to share there.
Well, I mean, the Adidas procurement is a wide it's a wide partner. I mean, it's of course we are focusing from a procurement, which is not really the pure procurement part on the strategic vendors. Yeah, to really focus, not having. We used to have up to 60,000 vendors for NTP, for non-trade or indirect procurement. We are moving down to have the preferred or selected vendors to really keep on that one. But it's a difficult question to answer because it's very generic. So it's a bit vague to answer on that one, if I may.
Yeah. Understand. Are you happy for me to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think it's fine. So let's move to the next one and give you, let's say, a bit of the Ariba journey, as I mentioned before. So for us, as I said, and as we mentioned, we work with the one ERP strategy already since 2017, late 16, 17. So the aim for us was as well to bring our NTP colleagues and replacing SRM, which was not rolled out to every country, to move it as well to one global platform. So Ariba was the tool of choice that we had, Ariba Guided By. So we had I could say long journey, but if you look at it from the past, it took us 5 years, starting in 2018 with Greater China to roll out the first, let's say, big and the biggest and challenging country there, with all the requirements and the difficult market, I would say. And having already from the beginning 30 catalogs, allowing us to have already automatic PO, automation, and so on and so forth. Moving from that, in the pipeline, we had 2019, where we rolled out North America with Canada. We had a nice journey over there. And as you know, 2020 was a bit the big bang for us, or the big hit, sorry, with the COVID crisis hitting. And I will never forget, we went live on the 16th or the 17th of March in Europe, which is our biggest market from an NTP perspective. And on that day, the company went down to home office. So it was a bit very challenging to turn on the system and not having the experience on how that would work. But we made it. It took us a bit, it postponed a bit the rest of the timeline due to all the circumstances that everyone had at that time. But at the end, we closed it off end of last year with the Latin America rollout with over, I think, 12 or 14 different company codes from Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Peru, all in a big bang. And let's say for us, closing the Ariba Guided By rollout with the aim that we wanted to have one global system using one global standard, and having really, let's say, the really standardization and harmonization that we were looking for. Today, the slide is already from last year. We are now over 2,000 or 3,000 catalogs, and we have more than 60% PO automation rate.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, so 60% PO automation rate. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yeah. So meaning at the end, it's again, we had to make some restriction there, because we cannot roll out to every country e-commerce automation, for example. We have some stuff that are not working in some countries. We have some legal requirement but if you focus really to the key, let's say, key functionality of the system and don't want to tweak too much, it's possible. Yeah, and I think here we had especially the last 2 years with Brainbox and Jay helping us a lot on putting the right thing. We made it really happen, especially on commerce automation, and big thanks here to the support that we had on that part.
I was going to ask you actually, so you've got this, you obviously had this vision of where you needed to get to enable the stakeholders to serve themselves essentially from a buying perspective when we're talking about, I guess, non-strategic, pretty high volume but low in price purchases, which is typically what gets purchased through catalogs. What then, at what point in your journey did you realize then that you needed the support of an external partner to make that happen? And what specifically did Brainbox as an external partner bring to that project?
Well, first, I think we all on the same boat. We have a lot of good people, but I think when we go for such a big projects, which takes some years to roll out, you need the support of external, because you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, and I think that was clear for us to. We don't have the manpower, not only from an implementation perspective, but as well from an implementation, but as well to help the rollout from a PM, project managers, and so on. The way, and I think the great advantage of using Brainbox was it's a small company and with a lot of knowledge and very flexible. So it was not, if you compare with some other bigger consultant or bigger implementation partner, that they have an SOW and they work on it and that's it. And if you do something wrong, they're just there. And that was the very, very, very good exchange from with the Brainbox team to really get the knowledge. If we had questions, they were really looking for the right answer and being very open-minded, to challenge us, to tell us, no, guys, that's not the way we should do it. We should go that way. And with the exchange and the professionalism, it helps us as well to make, I would say at that time, the right decision. I mean, decision might change over time, but at that time, that was the right thing to do and the right path to move forward. So yeah, it's a good mix of, as I said, a small company helping us to move forward faster, because you can drive a bit easier as if you have a big boat and then you need 2 kilometers to make a light right curve. Yeah.
We've had a couple of questions pop up, Cyril, while you've been going through that slide. So if you're happy for me to bring these up, and we'll tackle them on the catalog side, because most of them are relating to what you've just explained around your catalog rollout and implementation. So the first one is coming from Thomas, and Thomas is asking, do you have a dedicated content enablement team in terms of catalogs, or who is it that's the driver behind that topic? Is it procurement, or is it internal stakeholders, etc.?
Yeah, so it's a mix. I mean, we have a content enablement team that's part of my team as well, really making that happen, that it's the right quality, the right level, everything works. But the procurement team is, of course, pushing the users to get, or pushing the suppliers to get the catalogs and to get more and more and more. Yeah, it's to be honest, it's part of the target as well of the different department to make that let's say target reachable.
Okay, thank you. And then the next one is from Alexander, and he's asking, how did you decide which categories should go via Ariba buying specifically? Was it in collaboration with a partner? I'm not sure if he's referring to Brainbox here or to your internal stakeholder team, or was it down to just internal spend analysis?
No, it's a very good question. And I think we have a clear, from a procurement perspective, we have a clear, let's say, policy, which was no PO, no pay. Yeah, so every supplier or every demand that you have that can be covered via a purchase order has to go through a purchase order. So that was for us a clear commitment to say everything on guided buy that has a purchase order has to go through a guided buy. So if you talk, of course, of electricity, rent, and so on and so forth, those are more logistic, those are more complex. But everything like marketing spend or office supply, so those one are the one that are covered from our global non-trade procurement team. Yeah, and it's a clear guidance as all those categories have to go through guided buy.
Yeah, and it's usually across most companies and industries. It's a pretty similar product scope that goes through catalogs, isn't it? It's like you said, office supplies, IT peripherals, marketing, promotional items, and then I guess if we're turning, obviously this doesn't apply to Adidas, but if you're a manufacturing business, then often things like more simple electrical spare parts and maybe certain things relating to mobile phones and telecoms as well can go through it. But it's usually a fairly similar pattern. And then the kind of things that are more difficult to purchase through catalogs are usually like the one-time buys that are a little bit more expensive, require a little bit more feedback and interaction with stakeholders around technical specification or scope of work. So it's it's fairly common across different industries. And then the final one, Cyril, is from Srini, and I'm not sure, Srini, if he's a he or she. What strategic initiatives or innovative approaches is your procurement department currently implementing to drive cost savings, strengthen supplier relationships, and optimize your organization's overall procurement process?
Let me think about this one. I think, as I said, the procurement team from a GNTP or global non-trade procurement is really concentrating on the big items, so the big suppliers, to focus a bit less on the quantity of the supplier, but the quality, to make it more streamlined, in order to drive the cost saving, because then you can have a better. We might have, just taking an example, you might have 5 marketing companies that might do it, but if you concentrate with one, you might get better price. So that's a strategy. And again, I would need to refer to my colleague from a head of procurement to get to his strategy there. But we are trying as well to look more on the tail spend analysis as many. To try to get some learnings out of that, because we have a lot of too many small items there, that we need to focus on in order to reduce a bit the focus that we have. Yeah,
and there are a couple of I'll bring this one up actually, because the question from Sharad also refers to tail spend and also touching on sustainability. How are the sustainability requirements currently managed within Ariba? And I guess given your role, Cyril, it might be difficult for you to answer that if you're responsible for the procure to pay rather than the procurement related deliverables. But the second part of this is, how is tail spend managed? Is it via punch out catalogs, or the alternative being, is it via internally hosted catalogs?
Yes, so we have punch outs catalog. We are looking now at the tail spend, to see if we make sense to work with a third party provider, let's say, to our P cards. But that's something we have on the plan for the end of 2023 and 2024. For the sustainability, it's something, of course, like every company, we will have to look at due to the new regulation in Europe and so on and so forth. So yes, Ariba is limited, so we need to find other ways to go through that. There are different projects on our side to move in that direction, but still too early to come to a conclusion at the moment.
Yeah, and I think in fairness to Ariba, it never claims to be or sells itself as a sustainability platform. So inevitably, if it's predominantly a source to pay, source to contract platform, then it's not going to have best of breed sustainability features. So let me then move to the so that was the last slide before we go into the rapid fire. So let me just take the last question that popped up. Have you implemented spot buy in any markets? So I think what this person's getting at is, it's difficult to do spot purchases using a catalog feature. So what would be, or is there even a strategy to manage that within a sort of Ariba or guided buying functionality?
Yeah. We have some spot buy functionality. I would need to check again on that one. Sorry for that. I can come back later in the chat for that. Yeah. But we have that functionality. I think we have it for Europe and US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had quite a lot of questions. If anyone does have any more questions, then pop them in the comments and we'll bring them up. But we're going to go now, as we come to the end of the discussion, into a bit of a rapid fire question, just to make this a little bit of fun and to use a bit of an icebreaker. So first of all, Cyril, let's look at work-life balance. You personally, you're a busy guy. Director of Global Business Services. Source to Pay is probably not a stress-free environment. So what strategies or techniques do you personally use to keep your work-life balance and to maintain a healthy lifestyle? I mean, you work for a sports company, so I guess you're encouraged to keep fit, right?
Exactly. And what I forgot to mention before in my intro, I've got 5 kids. So with a patchwork family. So of course, the work-life balance, what I try and what I force myself to do is to separate work and home. And when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids at home, then the separation is very easy to do, because you come home and that it's different topics to talk to. Of course, they are getting older now, so it's fine. No, but I think the work-life balance, as you've seen on the first page, the building that we have, and we have an amazing campus. So it helps us from a company perspective. I love sports, and to get your mind free, to go for a run over noon. We have an amazing swimming pool as well on the campus. We can play tennis. So we are a sports company. So we are really living that. For me as well, it's an amazing advantage that I try to use as much as possible. I have the pleasure to live in Nuremberg, which is 30 kilometers away from Herzogenaurach, which I use the time to cycle as well, because I am a passionate cyclist. So it's we have a lot of, let's say, colleagues commuting as well with the bike. We have a weekly cycling event on Tuesday evening to cycle 60, 70K. So those are the kind of thing to do, or you can do, of course. For me personally, eat healthy, and one of the things I try to avoid most is the sugar, because it's the worst drug that you can have. But as well, as a French guy, don't get me wrong, but I love a good glass of wine, and that's try to get the balance in the right way. So work is work, home is home, trying to get separated. And I know it's not easy, because with all the mobile phones and all the technology that you are reachable every time. And as you say, source to pay is not always the easiest one, but for me, it makes fun, and trying to get the separation in a clear sense.
What's the policy at the moment in Adidas with work from home versus work from office? What is it? Are you more or less back to office, or is it hybrid?
It's a hybrid model. So of course, there is a kind of a global policy, but for our colleagues in retail, it's difficult, or in the stores, or in the warehouse, it's difficult to work from home. So we are kind of, we must say, in headquarters or even in the offices, to be privileged to have this hybrid model. It's a 60-40. So 3 days home, 3 days in the office, and 2 days home. Got
it. Yeah. You spoke a little bit about cycling and generally like to keep active, and the Adidas campus enables that and actively encourages it. So if someone wants to incorporate more sports activities into their life, but perhaps their daily routine makes it quite difficult, do you have any tips for that? Especially if you've got 5 kids and a stressful job and you still manage to do it. So you're definitely the right person to ask that.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, it's not for me, but I would say impossible is nothing. Yeah, I think doing sports, it keeps you healthy for sure, but you need to have a target. You need to set your own goal. Yeah, you don't need to run a marathon. You don't need to run a triathlon or ultra marathon or whatever, or climb the Mount Everest. I think it's up to your own goal that you want to set yourself, to say, okay, this week I want to go 3 times for a walk, 30 minutes, or I want to start cycling. So it's really, I used to do triathlon. I quit a bit because it's too time expensive. But if you talk about running needs only yourself. You need a pair of shoes, a t-shirt, and a short. if it's not raining or not too cold, but you can run everywhere. And that's for me. I used to travel a lot. Yeah, with Corona, it has changed a lot. But I woke up at 5 or with jet lag or whatever and go for a run in the city, wherever I am. I don't care, because I two things. First, it's helped me to get my mindset a bit free. And second, I can see different things from a city where I'm traveling otherwise only from the airport to the hotel to the office, office to the hotel, airport and back. So that's again, the sports activity keeps the mind free and it keeps you healthy. But you need to set the goals. It's not because your colleague will run a marathon that I have to do it as well. You need to find your own, and small step helps most of the time better than having too wide or too big goals.
You're more disciplined than me, managing to go for runs on business trips. I struggle with that. I mean, when I'm at home and I have my routine, I'm pretty good. But yeah, but you're right. If running, I would fully agree with this as well. Especially if you're having to be careful from a financial perspective, what sports you get into. Running is probably the cheapest sporting activity that you can do, because like you say, you literally just need a pair of running shoes and shorts and a t-shirt and you're good to go. Whereas, you know, if you do tennis or cycling or skiing, especially, it's very expensive.
No, and if you are passionate runner or sports guy like I am, you can do it everywhere. You can do it when you fly to anywhere in the world. Compared to another sport, I mean, swimming gets difficult if you have a small swimming pool from a hotel. You're not going to swim 1K in a 10-meter pool. It makes it a bit more complex.
And then finally, just to wrap this up, you obviously travel a lot with a global role. What's your favorite destination, either for holiday or for business, that you've been to?
Well, a very good one. I think I was lately in India. That was a very interesting one from a food experience perspective, because it's very, very different. Learned a lot there. But I think that one of the most amazing one, I must say, was Japan in Tokyo. I was there in January, so very, very cold time. And it's the country of the sunrise, yeah. And I had the pleasure, as I mentioned before, to wake up very early and go for a run and seeing the sunset, the sunrise in the morning with minus 10 degrees, amazing blue sky, and seeing the Fujiyama a bit far away was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. On the other side of the planet, I had the chance to go as well to Santiago de Chile. Completely different atmosphere, but amazing city. Yeah, and from a private point of view, I like very much Südtirol, not too far away from Germany. Yeah, it's a 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
But that's a different aspect, and of course France. But that's I should not even mention it as a French guy.
I'm with you on Indian food. I love Indian food. You can take the boy out of Birmingham, but you can't take the Birmingham out of the boy, as they say. And exactly. I grew up with Indian food in my hometown, and I love it. Yeah, it's Santiago de Chile. I've not been there, but Argentina is one of my favorite countries, and I'm going back there this winter actually to spend the European winter there. It's I love Buenos Aires and Argentinian culture.
Never been there so far, but hopefully at some point.
Fantastic. So we've not had any more. Let me just check. Finally, we've not had any more questions come in, Cyril. So I think we can wrap this one up. And I would like to, on behalf of the whole Brainbox team, extend our thanks for you to come on and talk about some of the success stories that you've had using us as an implementation and a consultancy partner, and wishing you further success and hopefully a long and healthy collaboration.
Yes, thank you very much, and my pleasure as well. Yeah, and we are planning now for the next budget round, and let's see. Yeah, but very happy to work with you guys, and thank you very much for having me here. Yeah, and if you have any questions on the stream, let us know, and we will try to respond as fast as possible.
And likewise, if you're watching this and you're perhaps interested to understand what Brainbox could potentially do for your business, just drop us a quick comment in the comments section of this stream, and one of our business development team will reach out to you. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.